Another video. So this is gonna be my first upload in 2 days. I'm really sorry. I've been very busy with many things. So yeah, I'm going to start today's video by saying, first of all, subscribe if you're not currently subscribed. When we reach 250 subscribers, we will be doing a giveaway. So I'm really excited to give some stuff away. So remember to subscribe, share the channels with others, and like and comment. That actually might help the channel grow, and YouTube could show it to other people. So, what are we going to be doing today? Well, what we're going to be doing today is we're going to do an analysis of what a Biden Harris campaign would look like and how it would change my generic Trump Pence versus Biden and VP prediction. So, what I'm saying here is that Kamala Harris could have impacts, positive in some places, negative in other places, and kind of flip this map around a little bit in some areas. So I'm going to begin with just talking about states that a Biden Harris campaign could help out, and where states that a Biden someone else campaign would help out. So out of the state of Wisconsin, if a Biden Harris campaign happens, that might be the last push to have a tilt state in the state of Wisconsin. Again, a lot of this would what it would be changing is one, margins, and two, it would be changing a lot of things like maybe even flip states, and then other states would flip to the other side. A Biden Harris campaign would get in the state of Michigan a likely margin, like a 5 point margin. If that's what I think would happen. If they chose someone like what's the name of the girl, Michelle Lujan Grisham, I think that state could go to a lead margin. But at this point, I think if Harris is chosen, it would probably be in a 5 point margin. In the state of Pennsylvania, if Harris is Joe Biden's VP, I think it would go from a tilt column to a lean column, expanding the Rust Belt. So if you guys haven't checked out my 2020 vice presidential rankings, I'll put it up in the card, so it should pop around now. And I'm going to kind of base it off of that. And then if you haven't watched that, I'm just going to tell you what was the main points with Kamala Harris ranking. So I ranked Kamala Harris first, and here's why. Kamala Harris helps Joe Biden in many parts of the Midwest, the upper Midwest. She helps him in the eastern Sun Belt, but then she kind of doesn't help anything when it comes to the western Sun Belt. Those are going to be the two main playing turfs for this election. And ultimately, it really depends on, it kind of exacts whether it's going to be mail-in voting. It depends also on kind of scandals that we haven't seen yet. And guys, I wouldn't be surprised if the Biden campaign has a couple scandals. Right now they consistently be having a lot of more scandals. I think the other day I read that he said something about the African American community, which could actually hurt him. Um, and yeah, and then other places, Donald Trump could also have scandals. So all these things are factors will factor in into our predictions later on when you have more information and get closer to election day. Where are other places that Kamala Harris could help out the Biden campaign? State of North Carolina. I think still the Biden campaign will not be able to carry the state of North Carolina. And look, if Barack Obama won it barely in 2008, and it was a barely margin, it was super, super tight. And that was with a super kind of, I guess we can call it a Democratic landslide across the country. And the state of North Carolina, I don't think it probably would have been that close if it was a different scenario where we're coming out of an Al Gore presidency in 2008. So the state of North Carolina could get a lot closer. It could probably go down to like half of 1%, 0.2%, something like that, with a Kamala Harris VP. But I don't think ultimately the Democrats, as of right now, that the elections were today, they would not win the state of North Carolina. Same thing in the states of Iowa and Ohio. It's simply what you're going to be doing is just putting down the margins. In the state of Ohio, I think it could go down to a possibly a lean margin. So instead of being a 5 to 6%, it could go down to 3 to 4%. And when it comes to the state of Iowa, I think it could get a lot closer. Probably not to a lean margin, but a tilt margin. Probably the least possible likely on the lean margins, which would be around 2 to 3%. So those states are going to have impacts. Again, it's going to be not as big of a thing. They're not going to flip, but getting down those margins could give you more hope on election day. Out of the state of Georgia, same thing. I think if Kamala Harris is the VP, we could get it down to 3 to 4% for the Democrats, and that could really help them out. Because if they can put enough resources in one place, also that's one thing to consider where the campaigns are spending their money. I think for Donald Trump, best places to spend his money is the state of Wisconsin, possibly the state of Pennsylvania, and the state of Arizona. And those states are the most important states for this election for the Republicans to win. The Rust Belt, state of Arizona, and then the Southern Sun Belt, the southeastern Sun Belt. There we go. And ultimately, I think that's where the Trump campaign should be focusing its resources. When it comes to other states, the state of Arizona, I think a Kamala Harris VP would hurt Joe Biden a little bit. It could probably go from a 0.2 margin to 0.4 margin, all the way. It could go possibly to 1 to 3% margin if Kamala Harris is VP. Kamala Harris doesn't have a big appeal for the people in Arizona. Yeah, she's from next door in California. But you guys must consider the state of Arizona is mostly made up of suburban voters. And the biggest minorities in that state, which is what the Democrats should be focusing on, are the Latinos and the Native Americans. So all those things should be taken into consideration. And I think, honestly, a Kamala Harris, Biden-Harris ticket could probably just affect the states, the Rust Belt, and by the margins they go on. They could also lower some of Donald Trump's margins. And ultimately, I think for whoever wins the election, whether it be Donald Trump or Joe Biden, whoever wins, it will hurt their presidency if they only squeeze out a 18 electoral vote victory, or a 2 electoral vote victory, or a 10 electoral vote victory. These things will end up hurting the campaigns, because ultimately it's about margins and how big you win. If you lose by a considerable margin, okay, if most of the country has united behind you. But if you lose barely, it's going to be like, you should be president, or no, I should be president. That could divide the country more, and then could become a very, very big political, it would be very, I guess, it could like ruin the political scene in the United States. And I think ultimately, if whoever is elected by a close margin, the 2022 midterms will be a bloodbath for whichever party lost the presidency. Won the presidency, my bad. Because, look, if Joe Biden wins, the 2022 midterms could probably bring a flip in the House of Representatives, and possibly the Republicans taking back Senate if they lose in 2020, or retaining it if they win in 2020. If Donald Trump, wins another term, consider the Senate gone, because there's a lot of competitive Senate seats in 2024. And in all honesty, the Republican Party, I think it would be better for them if they let Donald Trump lose, just because of the Senate. Again, all these are different things that people must take into consideration. And I think it's more important to have Congress than the presidency. Yeah, the president can help you pass agenda and things like that. But at this point, who will run the country? It's Congress. Because the presidency can't get anything done if it wasn't for Congress. So that's what I'm going to say. And yeah, so I want to thank all of you for watching. Remember about the 250 subscribers giveaway. Like, subscribe, and smash that post notification. And yeah, I want to thank all of you for watching, and I'll see you real soon. Bye.